Good afternoon or morning, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Agent of the Forecast. And it's going to be a severe weather update. And in this video, we're going to be looking at the day 2 outlook, which is specifically centered towards southeast Kansas and as well central and northern Oklahoma. So we're going to be going to a really detailed forecast in the overall tornado risk, hail risk, and wind threat, and the overall timing and who can get the worst, and as well if there's potential for an upgrade to a moderate risk. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So here's the overall enhanced risk. So we do have a tornado enhanced risk, and a hail driven enhanced risk. The wind threat's going to be a little bit on the lower side here. But there's the enhanced risk, including areas like Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Norman, and Edmond, Oklahoma. So we are including some very large cities within this enhanced risk, which is why I'm really keeping my eyes on this, because this definitely has a really good overall synoptic setup, and the SVC's wording actually is pretty strong, which is why I'm really interested in this day. So let's go ahead and look at the overall. Here's the overall convective outlook. So you have slight risk from northern Texas towards a portion of the Ozarks and southern Missouri there, with that overnight threat extending, with that really big potential for some overnight tornadoes, and as well with the wind threat. Obviously, that's where you have that pretty enlarged wind threat, and the hail threat as well. We possibly there as well. Um, but there's your slight risk, and I do think that we could have an enhanced risk pushed further closer to the Texas border, because I definitely wouldn't without the possibility for some very significant hail down there. But yeah, there's your enhanced risk. There's a tornado threat though at 10% SIG, including southeast Kansas and as well much of northern and central Oklahoma. Again, it's the same area that's enhanced driven tornado and hail. So be the same highlight as the enhanced risk. So there's your 10% SIG. Your SIG includes all the 10 basically. So it's gonna be the same numbers between your 10% and your SIG severe. So basically, not much different there. Again, Oklahoma City, Wichita, Norman, Oklahoma, Edmond, and Midwest City, and then you have a large 5% from the southwest portion of Missouri, across much of the majority of southeast Kansas, and then the majority of just Oklahoma in general within that risk. Your 2% and 5%, even 10% are extremely close together, because that's where your dry line is going to be. So you're obviously not going to see anything west of your dry line. So that's why your 10% and 2% are basically within like 20, 30 miles away from each other. So that's going to be a very tricky forecast with this dry line here. But overall, your best chance will be closer to the Oklahoma City metro and Wichita. There's your wind threat, 15% non-sig. So we're not going to be seeing a great threat when it comes to wind, but could still get some gusty winds, especially as you go towards Missouri and Arkansas, where you get that overnight threat. And then obviously going to be definitely be seeing a pretty significant hail threat today or tomorrow. 30% SIG, except your SIG is a lot larger than your 10% SIG. So we do have a really greater widespread radius of potential for significant hail. So your significant hail includes around 3.5 million, while your 30% includes 2.7 million. So your SIG is definitely a lot larger from southeast Kansas towards the Texas border. Like I said, I wouldn't doubt if we do get enhanced closer to Wichita Falls, Texas, or that general region. But let's go ahead and look at the wording really quickly here. I know that we're already 4 minutes in, but I want to specifically highlight something. Where was it? Oh, here we go. So we are looking at, it's somewhere right here. There's really strong wording where it said a high caliber event here. So this, here we go. This will be a high end parameter space, very favorable for supercells with large hail, wind, large hail, wind damage, and tornadoes. Hailstone greater than, yes, but there you go, right there. They mentioned basically a high end parameter space, and that's really concerning there. I mean, that's definitely kind of a high end enhanced risk wording, and possibly even a moderate risk wording. And there it says, in an EF3 plus tornado may occur in addition with wind damage. Boeing line segments. That's gonna be later on though. So they're mentioning EF3 plus tornadoes in a high parameter space. That's definitely very significant wording if you ask me. But let's go ahead and start getting into the models here. And like I said, we will be talking about day 4 most likely tomorrow, because I know that's also a pretty high end day. We're already at 30%. But yeah, let's go ahead and get in the forecast. Alright, so the first thing I want to look at is the 850 millibar flow. So I want to see kind of this little ribbon of flow for tomorrow's setup. So as you see this, as you have obviously your trough moving across the Rockies, you're gonna be seeing your lee cyclone, or your lee trough basically. So you're gonna be seeing a low level low develop here at your 850 millibar, basically just lead to the Rockies. And it's going to be really amplifying to tomorrow's event compared to today's event. So if today's event, you don't really have a super significant 850 millibar flow really, because it's just starting to really just starting to amplify. But as you go towards tomorrow's event, once it's a really stronger developing little cyclone, you're gonna start seeing now a lot higher values. So you're gonna start seeing 53 knots ready, 47 knots ready by 14Z tomorrow. But as we now go toward the main event, it starts to kind of weaken in its strength and amplitude. But as we go now towards 19Z, 21Z, and 22Z, it starts to really amplify across portions of Oklahoma there, southeast Kansas. So it's going to get really, in general, we're going to be seeing anywhere from really a 40 to 60 knot low level jet here, ribbon of flow coming from the southwest. So really strong southwesterly flow as well. You're gonna be seeing some flow. Another second ribbon of flow basically coming from the Gulf of Mexico. So you're gonna get some pretty good moisture return here for tomorrow's warm sector. And then obviously as we go toward the overnight hours, it's gonna really amplify. So that's where we're gonna be seeing kind of that really big wind threat and possibly even overnight tornadoes embedded within the QLCS and your linear mode near Joplin and near the Ozarks, near right there near like Miami, Oklahoma, or Tulsa. You guys would kind of start seeing kind of that more, I guess you could say, overnight ish threat there with that 850 millibar flow. But really good 850 millibar flow, pretty strong southwesterly flow as well. But let's not go ahead and get a look here at the overall dudes and look at the overall warm sector and everything just thermodynamically here. So here's by 16Z, so to get that more moisture. There is your triple point. So you're going to be seeing a triple point within your warm front, which is going to be moving obviously to the north here at this point. There's going to be your warm front moving in. You're going to be seeing your dry line right here, and then you're going to be seeing kind of your cold front basically right behind your dry line there. Or actually, your dry line would be like somewhere right here, and then you'll be seeing your cold front basically like back here towards New Mexico, where you actually see these vectors change. But yeah, you're gonna be seeing your triple point, but you're gonna be seeing kind of your triple point really kind of really develop basically by around tomorrow early afternoon by like around 20Z ish or so. So there is your warm sector. It's getting a lot of moisture return from the Gulf of Mexico with its 850 millibar flow and a ribbon of flow. So you're gonna start seeing some upper 60s and dudes by 20Z, and in some spots you may even hit 70. That's gonna be kind of more towards the south, but like in dead center risk here, you're seeing mid 60s across Oklahoma City as well, even upper 60s near 68 and 69, and portions of upper Texas. So the HFR is really having really a lot of thermodynamic support here. And by 22Z, there is your really intense kind of dry land. It's going to start like, kind of mixing here by upper Oklahoma and Kansas. And there's kind of your dry land right there. Then your cold front's going to be basically around back here. So that's going to kind of be your cold front. And then you're going to be seeing kind of, actually your cold front will be kind of like around right here. And then you're going to see your warm front. So that's going to be your triple point basically around northern Oklahoma and southern Kansas by 22Z. And you are going to be seeing some nasty dews here. I mean, look at this. You're going to be seeing upper near 69 there. You have, look at this really stream-wise photograph here. I mean, don't ignore the PDS tornado. And also, this is slightly contaminated, but this is overall a really nasty setup here. I mean, you have really good lapse rates, or not really good, but you have some decent lapse rates considering the time. You do have around 6.9 between 3 and 6 kilometer. And then their 700, 500 millibar last rate, you have 7.3, which isn't that shabby. But look at your orientation there. You have really strong low level shear here at 44 knots between your 7 and 3 kilometers. And then you're hitting the 60s towards your kind of EL there. But look at the overall instability already. Your instability axis is very great already at 3,500 service Cape with your mixed layer towards 2,300. As we continue now towards around 23Z, you're going to continue to see kind of this really this kind of instability just really amplify a lot there. There you see pretty significant EML there, or yeah, EML. And then if we go kind of towards northern Oklahoma, we have kind of a really significant amount of instability and as well really good kinematics. Just look at this; they're really good kind of stream-wise vorticity there, and as well pretty good hodograph. You do have some really good instability, like I said, as well as some pretty good SRH at nearly 400 between your surface and 3 kilometers. Definitely, uh, definitely pretty good sounding here. I mean, definitely be watching out for potential for a really significant threat here developing across the Oklahoma region as well even towards Kansas because start to get closer to that low pressure. Um, and then as we kind of go towards really a 1Z, we kind of look at the same area here towards Oklahoma. There you see again, you're gonna start seeing this low level shear start to really increase here now. So you're gonna kind of get these really elongated type photographs across the Oklahoma City area. That's going to be kind of towards 1Z. Your instability is starting to kind of decrease a little bit here. But let's now go to around 0Z and see what 0Z has for the Oklahoma City area. So again, pretty good photographs here for sure. You're going to be seeing some very slight, very weak cap, but that's really not going to that's not going to really prevent anything necessarily considering your pretty good forcing here as well lifting mechanisms. But yeah, here's another really good sounding here towards your um, Oklahoma City area. Again, there is still some slight what's it called contamination, but that's overall your general sounding environment still pretty favorable. So with this pretty strong low level shear, you should definitely see this tornado risk kind of really amplify as the day goes on. And let's look at the overall surface base cape and hodograph. So this is obviously one of my favorite kind of new updates when it comes towards the pivotal weather website. So this is gonna be, let me move the screen so you guys can actually see the time here. So this is gonna be, oh, now I can't even move, so I'm gonna have to like do this. Um, that'll work. There we go. This is gonna be 10Z tomorrow. And as we now kind of go towards 19Z, 20Z, there you start to see that instability axis, and you're gonna be eventually just imagine your 30E axis, kind of moving across your really just moving along your triple point. So you're gonna be seeing some pretty decent photographs already developing as early as 20Z tomorrow, already getting again 2,000, nearly 3,400 joules per kilogram closer to your surface low. And by 22Z, just look at this right here. I mean, let's just go near Oklahoma City, for example. I mean, look at that really significant kind of just dry it's pretty significant EML there for sure. And that's gonna really help with that instability. You're gonna be seeing 8.2 lapse rate between your surface and 3 kilometers. Again, you're gonna be seeing some pretty really significant decrease in temperature with height in the lower part of your atmosphere. However, you kind of see a little bit of elevated cells here with your high LCL. But let's go a little bit closer to now kind of the surface there. Your surface low. This you're gonna be seeing. Oops, that's really highly contaminated right there. But let's go ahead and look kind of towards southern Oklahoma, for example. We're going to be seeing another risk. So again, you are going to be seeing this pretty good instability. You are going to be seeing some significant dry air moving in. Then by 1Z, there you start to see this elongation within your photographs as your 850 millibar flow is going to really increase here. I mean, this is a pretty good mothership sounding here. There's a pretty good mothership sounding right there towards the Oklahoma area, Oklahoma City. And then we can kind of go towards kind of just to the south of Oklahoma City. Again, you're going to be seeing these elongated photographs because you're strengthening 850 millibar flow. Let's now go ahead and get a look here. Your lapse rates, like I said, aren't going to be too shabby necessarily. We do have a 30 sig. So let's now go towards around 19Z, 8.1 celsius per kilometer for your lapse rates. So you'll be seeing 8.1, 8.2, 8.0. So that's really pretty. That's gonna really allow for some really a lot of instability here, and as well a lot of really just just a lot of instability. You're gonna start to see some really good amount of cape kind of developing here, as well as some pretty good instability axis developing across your general area of Oklahoma. And then as obviously it will decrease as you start to see these convective storms start to develop here along your dry line, but definitely a pretty good environment kind of awaiting as you see this overday heating and your journal heating. You're gonna start seeing some really high lapse rates, 8.3 possibly between your 500 and 700 millibar, or 700 and 500 millibar. So that's gonna definitely allow for a lot of instability and as well a pretty thick cape layer and as well even a thick hail growth zone layer as well. So gonna definitely be seeing a lot of instability developing tomorrow. And last thing I'll just show for the video is just looking at your overall composite relativity. Obviously, this is not going to really uh, give us any conclusion. Obviously, this is going to be, don't really look at your composite relativity to actually look at where areas you're going to be watching out for, because obviously this could very well be very off, because it's like looking at your radar more than basically 24 hours out. So take this for the grain of salt. This is just to give us a general idea of what the H bar is showing when it comes to convection, where it has your convection generally, and whether it has a dry line convecting, because cams like the H bar do sometimes have a pretty hard time when it comes to convecting off dry lines. So let's now look at the, you're gonna be seeing some kind of some overnight convection from today's events developing. And that really won't waste any of your lapse rates, or it really won't waste necessarily any of your instability, because it's gonna be like at 7Z there, not really at 15 or 16Z. By 14Z, you should be pretty clear here. You could be see a few storms to the south of your main risk here, but overall your enhanced risk is pretty clear at 17Z, and then it's very much clear by 19Z. And again, it's gonna kind of be developing of a evening event here, not really that early afternoon event. So like I said, the 22Z, you're gonna be seeing kind of your pretty good triple point really developing here. So as we're gonna start seeing your storms kind of developing just off your triple point. So you're gonna be seeing there is some pretty good rotating supercells being picked up by the ARRR in southeast Kansas, and has certainly significant clusters there. And then we look at it doesn't really excuse me, it doesn't really have anything really going on in Oklahoma really directly along a dry line to really around 3Z, 4Z, and 5Z. So looks like the HBR is definitely having again a little issue on the Oklahoma part of the dry line, but it has easily a ton of clusters and rotating updraft with supercells all along southeast Kansas. It's just a okay sounding here, and it's gonna be highly contaminated because you're on because on composite activity it's usually always contaminated. So you always gotta kind of click off of it. Um, but yeah, that's what you're getting off the sending end. It's gonna be definitely have to be taken with a grain of salt, but it's definitely an interesting sounding. It does have your veer southeasterly or your back southeasterlies and veering with height there. Um, but yeah, that's what it has here. I'm gonna just copy that just to kind of keep that in consideration there. But you do have pretty decent instability axis there. Your mixed layer cape's pretty much very similar to your surface based cape there, and that's gonna, like I said, right. That's gonna be right around your That's gonna be just right around um that little cell there, and then sort of continue by 1Z, and then you kind of see that clustered and that kind of squall starts to develop there. But I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys later.